We have been digging all day, and News 13 continues to uncover new explosive details in the hundreds of letters written between Casey Anthony and another inmate at the Orange County Jail. Some of these letters contain shocking information, like allegations her brother Lee Anthony sexually abused her since she was a child, and that Casey used chloroform to put little Caylee to sleep. And we're getting a strong reaction tonight from Casey's defense lawyers. News 13's Stephanie Quinn, you joining us. And Stephanie, over the months, Casey really came to trust this other inmate, Robyn Adams.
Yeah, Casey reveals intimate details about her life, including her rocky relationship with her mother. And one of the experts we put up here behind me, Casey writes out the word betrayal in all caps to describe her feelings about her mother. Just one of many topics Casey talks about. And in one of the letters from another inmate, we actually learn how Casey would deliver the letters. They would actually use a book to pass these letters back and forth. They would put the letters inside the book and then leave it on a shelf for the other person to pick up. These newly released letters between Casey Anthony and another inmate, Robyn Adams, reveal a tight friendship between both women. Casey even gives Robyn the nickname Cookie. But as Casey is writing these letters to Robyn, Robyn is forwarding them to another person for safekeeping. Robyn writes to this friend, Tracy, "This may be my only way out of prison sooner than my expected term. I only want to come home." In that same letter, Robyn wonders, the real question is there any useful information in those letters that can be used to convict her with murder? Meanwhile, Casey continues to write long letters to Robyn. The biggest bombshell, she says her brother Lee began sexually abusing her when she was 12 years old. The abuse lasted for 3 years. She also writes she thinks her dad also used to do the same thing, but when she was younger. Casey reveals she told her mother about the abuse, who told her Lee was sleepwalking. Casey also writes at length about her relationship with her mother, writing she felt Cindy cares more about the national publicity than about her own daughter. Robyn has her own thoughts of celebrity. She writes to Tracy about the letters from Casey. "Do you think one day they'll be worth anything? Maybe a spot on the Today Show or Oprah, if anything comes of it." At the end of several letters, Casey reminds Robyn to flush them down the toilet. Now we also have an excerpt from a letter right here behind me where Robyn writes that she was actually allowed to secretly come out late at night to have one-on-one talks with Casey when everyone else was sleeping. Investigators also interviewed Robyn, who told them Casey mentioned using chloroform to put Caylee to sleep. But then during another interview, she said Casey never told her specifically what she used. Robyn is now in federal prison.
You know, Stephanie, let's go back to those allegations for just a moment that Casey made against her own brother and father. Has Cindy and George Anthony's lawyer commented at all?
Yeah, we've put in several calls to Brad Conway about those letters and the information they contain. So far, he hasn't commented, but we do know that he is currently reviewing those letters. However, this evening we did receive a comment from Casey's defense team. I have it right here in my hand. Liz Brown writes about Robyn Adams, quote, "Despite these intentions, it is obvious her sole purpose and only goal in corresponding with Casey Anthony was to create, quote, leverage to get out of prison early." Now we have the full response on our website, cfnews13.com.
Certainly a lot to take in tonight. News 13, Stephanie Quinn, thank you. And we will have more of what's in those letters coming up in our next half hour. By the way, attorneys on both sides of the case aren't focused specifically on those letters. News 13 has learned that for the next several days, lawyers for both Casey and the state attorney's office are actually in Washington, D.C. They're taking depositions for the case, interviewing federal employees who work at the FBI lab in Quantico, Virginia. Now, that lab has tested evidence in this case, and staff there also examined Caylee's remains. And if you'd like to take a look at the hundreds of pages of letters for yourself, we have them all there for you right now on our website, cfnews13.com.